With the permission of the chief incumbent of the temple, with the permission of the Venerable Sangha, and with the permission of the respected Silmanio, and with the permission of the fellow religious priests, honorable guests who are present, children and parents. Today is truly a joyous day because we arrived at Pusellava very quickly. That is to say, we found the most talented children in Sri Lanka from Pusellava. So this is truly a cause for great joy. However, I think you may not even realize that the most talented children are here with you, because even we only realized after reaching this milestone in the project that Pusellava is home to the most talented children. I believe that in the world today there are two types of people. One group is afraid of artificial intelligence and the other group lives with it. The parents who are willing to have their children live with artificial intelligence are the ones who have come here today. Because in this course, the children passed the 100 of courses. From 135 to 155, they learn artificial intelligence in one way, and from 155 to 182, they learn it in another way. We are also teaching robotics to children from scores of 115 to 135. So after learning robotics, artificial intelligence and coding, these children are moving forward. As parents, you should truly be happy that you have placed your child in the right place. This DP Education IT Campus is a collaboration between BP Coding School, Moratuwa University, Kalaniya University and Ruhuna University. I think in another 6 months, your children will be learning from Moratuwa University. They might even start learning before them. But can you imagine? The lecturers from the University of Moratuwa themselves are the ones conducting this program. Have you ever thought that the children of Pusellava would have the opportunity to learn from the professors of Moratuwa University? Did you ever think that your children would be able to learn from the professors of Kalaniya University? But we have arranged all of this because I believe in one thing about education. I believe that education is the only vaccine that can eliminate poverty. This belief didn't come to me overnight. When I was attending Horana Takshila College, I also went to tuition classes like most students. During that time, I noticed how children were taught the same syllabus in different ways. The way students in Colombo were taught was different from how students at Takshila were taught, even though both groups were attending tuition classes. It was during those tuition sessions that I first saw other students' books. That's when I began to think that education should be the same for everyone, and this was a big issue back in those days. If you ask me today who taught me, I would name 3 tuition teachers. I had to say that because they shaped my education. I learned physics from Mohan Lal, maths from Raja Alvis and chemistry from Duro Malvis. Those are the names of the teachers that are still ingrained in my memory because I learned from them. I grew up as a student under their guidance. Later, as I became older, I held on to one belief that I've had since childhood. If you want to earn money, you need to keep learning every day. Most people think that once they've earned a degree or finished school, their education is over. But the secret to my success is continuous learning. Some may think that age is a barrier to education. It's not. If you want to earn money, you need to keep learning every day. Only by continuously learning can you predict what the country will look like in the next 10 years. Before we think about the country's future, we should first consider what will happen to our own families. Now let's take a good example. Do you have a 10-year plan for your child? Have you thought about what will happen in 10 years? Let's say the children who are currently doing their A-levels were born in 2004 and 2005. At that time, around 360,000 children are born. Out of those 360,000, only about 40,000 will be able to go to university. This means that only about 11% will have the chance to attend university. What happens to the remaining 89%? If we think about this, let's say there are 1,000 students. Out of those, only 110 will go to university. What will happen to the other 890? Do you have a plan for that? If not, then this is the only barrier to the development of your family. Because now, The children who did my 100 projects will ask those questions. They are asking these questions everywhere. They are asking how many students from their school go to university after A-levels. Let's say a student studying physics wants to become a doctor. Then they need to find out how many students from their school get into the medical faculty. This is where the future of your child's life will be decided. Everyone thinks that my child can become a doctor, but only one student from the school will get him. Let's say there are 2 classes with a total of 80 students. What will happen to the remaining 79? All of them are taking A-level biology, but it does not work that way. We need to live with this understanding. The fundamental reason for this poverty is knowledge. So I think from today onwards, every parent who wants their children to become doctors should find out how many students from their school go to university after A-levels. If they want their children to become engineers, they should also check how many students get into engineering. This is the kind of plan that should be kept within the family. Now, when asked how many students from your school who are studying biology go to medical faculty, the answer is not clear. But that's not the point. As parents, the only responsibility is to be aware of this. I know how hard every principal and teacher in Sri Lanka works to teach these children. But no matter how hard they try, the syllabus is not designed according to the demands of today's world. So if we think that principals and teachers are to blame, that's not true. They can only teach what has been given to them. Children who learn through by-hearting are the ones who move forward. But in today's world, the method of memorizing and moving forward is over. If we don't change the syllabus, we will have to deal with the issues of aligning it with the 21st century. That's why I'm telling everyone that now you all have the opportunity. Even if you go to Moratuwa University, I personally held 52 meetings. When we create that full-stack developer course, it was after dedicating a total of 104 hours that we developed that full-stack developer course. This means we looked at how the best universities in the world teach full-stack development and what their curriculum looks like. But do you know what the result was of all that effort? In 2022, Moratuwa University was recognized as having the best full-stack developer online course in the world. How did that happen? It was because of the kind we invested. There's an institution in the European Union that evaluates e-learning platforms, and they awarded the top position to this full-stack developer course in 2022. The reason is that we have created it exceptionally well. I have dreams, but they're not small dreams, they're big dreams. So if I want to see my dreams, I think they need to be the best in the world. That's how I impart this knowledge. Now, you can ask the children about code.org, which was launched in 2013. This was initiated by a former American president, Bill Gates, who founded Microsoft, and Mark Zuckerberg, who founded Facebook. They all came together to say that American children should receive qualifications from code.org in 2013. That's when they could start changing their minds to align with the 21st century. However, I established the Mahindodaya Science Laboratory with my personal funds and gifted it to the government in 2012. This means that even before that, I had a need to teach IT to school children. But you've never seen my name associated with it because I have no need for recognition. The design of the Mahindodaya laboratory is mine, and the idea that a classroom should have 40 computers was also mine. After creating all this, I was the first to gift it to the government without seeking any recognition. Because for me, a name is not important. What I wanted was for Mahinda Rajapaksa to say that we need to establish 1,000 such labs. However, the effort was successful because if I had focused on my name, it would have been a distraction. That was in 2012. So I started advocating for IT education in Sri Lanka from 2012. It has been 11 years now. Don't think that the DP Education IT campus just came about all of a sudden. This has been a dream I've had for 11 years. Some people might think that having money can make it happen, but that's not true, because such institutions don't exist in the world. Teaching is not given away freely anywhere in the world. Education is one of the most expensive things globally. It's through education that you can create poor and wealthy nations. That's why rich people can become wealthy by investing in education, while poor people, due to lack of money, can continue to be poor for generations. So these two classes are not created by socialism or capitalism. The only barrier with money is the lack of funds for one's child's education. That's all. After that, Sri Lanka only had the concept of best for Colombo, rest for others. Why? Because there are good schools in Colombo, but not in the villages. But I too was once a student at the Horanapakshana College. That's why I brought the DP education platform to everyone's handphones. If you top up 500 rupees of data on YouTube, children can watch it for a month. All subjects had been recorded and made available. I have recorded and uploaded there in Sinhala, English and Tamil in all three languages. Now we sometimes hear that there is a shortage of teachers in schools. That's why they say there is no way to teach math or science. Why aren't people from the villages coming together to gift a smart classroom to their school to teach? Why is that the government is not allowing this, making their children walk on paths with no prospects? I am saying you should also present yourselves like me, because it doesn't matter how much money you save if your children are not learning. So you can talk to the school principal and suggest that we all come together, gather everyone in the school. Because today a smart classroom can be purchased for about 300,000 rupees. If the mothers and fathers of 300 children gather and contribute 1,000 rupees each, they can collect 300,000 rupees and set up a smart classroom in the school. Then the teacher shortage can be resolved. After that, it will be said to learn from DP education. But what are you all doing? You are waiting for the government to provide this. In the end, there will be no science teacher, no math teacher, and no English teacher. As for IT, I wouldn't recommend learning it from school, because it's good for children from 1995 and 2000 to learn. Now, I tell our children not to pursue IT for A-levels, because you can't learn anything from that. If you want, coming to DP Education Coding School for just 2 days will provide knowledge that you can't gain in 2 years, because children are being taught how to use a keyboard and a mouse. We haven't done anything for any child. In the 21st century, it is not essential to teach these things to children, especially with the way they are born today. Now, if I tell you that if there are any problems at your school, you should come together to solve them. It doesn't take much money, but it requires thinking. Let's say you can't find 300 students, but only 150 are present. Then if you contribute 2,000 rupees, you can collect 300,000 rupees to set up a smart classroom in the school. After that, the math teacher's problems can be resolved. Then in the afternoon, they can learn from it. If you just wait for the government to handle everything, I don't think that will ever happen. Now, I also had to stay and scold the government. I never complain about the government. Complaining to the government does not yield results. We get angry, create pressure, and invest money to reduce that pressure. That's what you all are doing, right? Because I know as parents, you always believe that the one who understands the questions well is the one with knowledge. Let's say you are all attending a political meeting. What are you listening to? You're listening to the words of the person who knows the questions better than you. So while addressing those questions, they'll give all sorts of answers. But have you seen solutions being provided? Have you seen them giving solutions on TV news? But you all think they blamed the others very well. Yes, they may have blamed the others well, but what does that do to you? Nothing happens to you either. That's what we are saying. Because thinking like the poor won't help here. You need to think about how to get out of this situation. Saying that a country is developing doesn't actually develop the country. The country develops when families develop. When those families come together, the rural service divisions improve. When those divisions develop, the districts develop. When those districts develop, the country develops. No country has developed without education. I honestly thought that this country would go bankrupt by 2028. But due to the corona pandemic, The timeline has come to 2022. So I completely missed my target. I thought that with this DP Education IT campus, we could solve the dollar-related issues without going bankrupt. I never thought that a problem like this related to Corona would rise, because I believed that this country would go bankrupt in 2028. It's because it came that the country went bankrupt 6 years earlier. According to my plan, by 2028, I would have shaped these children. However, I couldn't achieve that. But just because I couldn't do it doesn't mean I abandoned my plan. Because if I had a plan, no matter what came, it had to happen that way. Now you can see that today, unemployed graduates are coming to learn from us. We have specifically told them that we will finish within 6 months. Because we can teach coding and English to unemployed graduates in just 960 hours. That's why I'm creating this opportunity for all unemployed graduates in Sri Lanka to join our campus. If they come together and learn coding and English in 6 months, we will help them find the necessary job opportunities. Even though unemployed graduates are a burden to the government, they aren't a burden to me. I'm running this campus to find jobs for 1 million people. So far, someone who's aiming to find jobs for 1 million, these 30,000 unemployed graduates only make up 3%. That's why it's an easy task for me. I'm telling everyone here to ask all unemployed graduates in the Kandy district to join us. If necessary, I will meet with the unemployed graduates in the district, even if it's through a Zoom call, and talk with them. In 6 months, that is 960 hours. Let me break that down for you. Working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, that's 40 hours per week. That's 160 hours a month. Multiply that by 6 months, and you get 960 hours. In 960 hours, we can help find them a job. Now think about this. Even the education your child in grade 6 gets starts from learning the basics. Why can't IT be competent in 14 years? In America, the law is that people can find a job by the time they're 14 because IT isn't a heavy subject. All it requires are your fingertips. When you look at the Kandy district, you see the connection to the temple of the Tooth Valley, the offerings made there and the processions. Then if you look at the carvings of the Andakka Devalaya, you'll see that the people of the Kandy district have all these skills in their fingertips. So what are we doing here? When I think about how talented they are, I realize that because of these ancestral skills, these children are learning coding so fast. I'm also wondering why there is such a special skill here compared to other districts. I'm still trying to figure out why these children have such a unique talent. It's a question for me how they are progressing with such speed. So what I'm telling you all is this. As parents, put aside all those poor hopes and dreams. After listening to my talk, remove them from your minds. Don't think too far ahead. Your children have already reached the right place. So now the idea is that in 2 more years, your sons and daughters will become software engineers. Is not just a dream, is my dream, and I'm going to make it a reality. That's why I believe you can easily turn your children into software engineers. We are always going to be there to support them. I also want to tell the parents that if you think your children can secure their future by engaging in other work rather than education, that's where you go wrong. Some people think mining gems is the answer. Some think cutting down trees in the forest will do the trick. Others believe that searching for treasures is the way. Some people even think hunting down the Vallapatta tree will make them rich. And others think that if they can catch a certain gecko species, everything will work out. But thinking like that won't get you anywhere. Because the only true resource this country has is its human capital. But have you ever seen anyone talk about that kind of resource? No, because for 15 years, universities have been teaching this unemployed degree to students. This isn't something that just started recently. For 15 years, they keep saying they will fix it next year. Then they enroll new students into the same program. So even if your children go to university, they will still end up with that same unemployed degree, which won't lead to a job. But you are here with us. But you who are with us, don't be afraid of any of that. We already have a plan to combat unemployment. We are starting with this campus and we are setting up 3 job centers. The surrounding Dhamma schools hold classes only on Sundays. We are now looking at how we can convert those spaces into office spaces. For example, we are currently converting a Dhamma school at Uddakandra Rajama Vihara into an office space. There's Dhamma school on Sundays. On the other 6 days, the children who are working can come there and do their jobs. So now it's been 7 months since we opened the office at Uddakandra Rajama Vihara. An Australian company came and hired the students who had learned only half of the course. To be honest, I wasn't happy at that time, because those kids could only build a basic website. However, after the company spoke to them and saw they had completed 100 projects on code.org and had that qualification, they realized that these kids had good critical thinking skills, meaning they had the capacity to perform well in a job. Even though I wasn't keen on it, the monks told me to give them a chance. So we did. Now they're all doing well in their jobs. I spoke to the owner of the company afterward, and he said that the kids were better at thinking critically compared to others they hired with different qualifications from Sri Lanka. So parents don't need to wait until their children go to Colombo for jobs. We are already working on this as well. We can even create jobs for these kids right here in a local Dhamma school for that company. This way, they won't need to travel by bus for a job. In some cases, maybe they'll need to take a short bus ride, but you won't have to send your children to Colombo. We can handle that too. I'm going to stay behind this until we reach the 1 million mark, because I have a goal. The country went bankrupt because there were no dollars. But up until now, has anyone talked about a way to generate donors? No, they keep talking about different problems, but they don't even understand what the real issue is. They are talking about exporting the monkeys, as if doing that will solve the problems and bring dollars. That's their plan. Export the monkeys and everything will be fine, as if dollars will magically appear. So that's the kind of plan they are coming up with. So after that, they're planning on how to catch the monkeys. I actually asked someone, are these people crazy? Is it even possible to get rid of the monkeys like that? I asked, how are you planning to catch the monkeys? They told me, sir, we are working on a big plan to catch the monkeys. This is what's happening in the country. But what do you think? You are on WhatsApp saying, look, they are trying to get rid of the monkeys. They are trying to harm animals. No. Has anyone in the world made dollars like this? No. This is not how you calculate. If you manage to bring in $10,000 a month, that's $1 million a month. In 12 months, that's 12 billion. The country's problem is 6 billion. That's how I'm calculating. The issues people are talking about aren't really big problems if we all come together. Now there are 2.5 million parents around the world paying for this course. Why? Because there's value in learning this platform in 5 languages compared to other things, and that's why parents in other countries are paying for it. Let me give you another example. A monk who went to Australia told the people there, tell your relatives that you can learn code.org in Sinhala from Sri Lanka. And what did they say? Venerable Sir, we are already looking at this. It costs $4 million in Australia. So if possible, please offer it in English as well. Before they even asked their relatives about it, they told the monk their own problem. I wanted to keep it in only Sinhala and Tamil, because this is the most expensive tuition subject in the world. That's why I didn't have the intention to teach it in English, but because of the Sri Lankans in Australia, we eventually had to offer it in English too. So I think what I've explained to you is clear. Therefore, if anyone in the country thinks that they can earn money without learning, just remember that's a myth. If you want to advance to the next level in your career, only by learning can you achieve promotions in your job. Sometimes in Sri Lanka, people might think that after spending 10 years, they can get the next promotion. But in private companies, you can't advance like that. So going that route after reaching an older age, getting a couple of promotions and working for about 30 years, you could retire with a pension. But let's put that aside and focus on teaching these kids well. Because when I face a problem, I'll solve it completely and make it right. You've seen the solution I gave to the education problem, right? The student who came first in math from Royal College in the whole of Sri Lanka studied through DP education. Now you can imagine what the situation is like in the country. In the past, everything good was in Colombo. and there was nothing in other areas. But now, even Colombo is no different from the rest. The concept of Colombo being the best is outdated. Now the only place where you can find anything truly exceptional is around DP education. Everyone now has the opportunity. Those who want something great can take advantage of it and teach the children. Those who can't will have to do with what's available. Let me show you.
My name is Manith Manula Perera. I study at Royal College, Colombo. I had the opportunity to secure the first place in the island in the mathematics stream in the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Examination. We studied for more than 3 years through online education, and we had only a very limited opportunity and time to attend school. During this period, in addition to receiving education from school, I had the opportunity to learn through the DP Education channel, which offers free knowledge. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Dhammika Perera and his team for their support in this endeavor. Also to the younger sisters and brothers who are preparing for the advanced level exam, I want to say that in addition to what you learn in school, you can achieve great success by watching the videos on DP Education, which plays a huge role in education.
Now do you see? Whether you are in the bioscience stream or the mathematics stream, there are students who studied through DP education and excelled in these fields. Now it's available on your handphone and you can access it just for 500 rupees. All you need is 500 rupees worth of data to watch it on a YouTube channel. Even if you have a handphone, you might hesitate to give it to your child to watch these videos. Instead, you could bring a smart classroom to school and properly study subjects like mathematics, science and English. Because I don't focus too much on the other subjects, but if the students learn these three, they can succeed in life. I believe that in the future, DP education will bring jobs to your children even in rural areas. So no one should fear that jobs are only available in Colombo. If I take on a project, I also take responsibility for it. I will bring jobs to the rural areas, taking on that responsibility myself. Some might say there's no internet in certain places, but by 2025, Elon Musk will have set up Starlink, which will allow you to connect to the internet from any place using a satellite. So in about a year and a half, the issue of internet connectivity will be resolved worldwide. Therefore, don't be afraid of these things. When we make a plan, I am already setting up radio signals in some areas and building towers at a high cost. But in a year and a half, all these problems will be gone. Because after Starlink comes, he's planning to launch 14,000 satellites at a height of 545 kilometers to cover the entire world. So within the next 1.5 to 2 years, Starlink will also be available. Therefore, don't think that there's no internet or it won't be available in our area. We have already planned how to bring jobs to children along with Starlink. That's why I'm telling you again. If you live thinking that only through education you can improve your family's future, I believe that's the only secret to success. If anyone has questions, feel free to ask me and I'll answer them as well.
So, will I be able to make my dream come true through coding?
Now, here's the thing. What do you want to do when you get to NASA?
I want to build aircrafts.
You want to build airplanes, right? Yes, to build those, IT is definitely needed. Along with IT, engineering knowledge is also required. So while you work toward that qualification, you need to study mathematics for your A-levels and become an engineer. Because it's only when engineering and IP come together that you can go to NASA and do that job. Now tell me, are you doing O-levels or A-levels right now?
I'm currently in grade 11 preparing for my O-levels.
What's your aim for A-levels?
I plan to do maths.
How many students from your school go into engineering after passing A-levels?
I don't know, sir.
That's the issue. Whether you make it or not depends on how many students from your school get into engineering. Otherwise, you can make a special effort by using DP education. The student who ranked first in all 3 subjects learned from us. You have that opportunity as well. But no matter what, if you advance in IT, no one can stop you from becoming a software engineer. We also teach robotics. The world's first robot in Sri Lanka was made by a company called MagicBit with 60 lessons. There are 20 lessons on robots and another 20 on the subject of IoT. After that, there are 20 lessons on artificial intelligence. Once you complete the Python 2 module from University of Moratuwa, you'll be able to program that robot. We've built a robot farm and you can access it remotely. All those facilities are already in place. That's why I told you to become an engineer, because you said you want to build airplanes. But if you are going to do programming at NASA, you have already reached that point, because you have completed the 100 projects. Now you can move to the next step. Do try out for engineering as well. Try to find out how many engineers come out after completing A-levels at school. That will help you make your decision. After that, you can create a separate plan for it. If you are moving forward with programming, we are ready to help you until you reach that point. Because in just another year, you can learn anything related to IT from the DP Education IT campus. You can prepare both sides of your wish in any way. I pray for your success in life. You saw all the practical things in physics, all the practicals in chemistry are also available at our place. At Takshila College, Horana, we had one device in our physics lab. There were 35 students in the class, and 3 of them had to crowd around to see one device. I was the one who pulled the chair and stood at the door. Because when 35 students are around, you can't see the practicals. Generally, it's said that one device is given for 6 or 11 students. So the school doesn't have the facilities. What I thought that day is that today I'm recording with 6 cameras, so you can see as if you're right next to it. The only thing I cannot give is the smell of the chemistry practicals. Everything else has been provided to you. So if you are going to do A-level chemistry practicals, it can be done with us. Only the smell is lacking, but all the rest is available. So I pray for you to make your dreams come true.
Thank you, sir.